Hello, everyone. Welcome to East West Horizon. This is California. I'm Sylvia Tian. The BRICS was originally just a meeting of 5 countries. After the 14th BRICS Leaders Summit held recently in China, more countries are attracted to join in. This will mean that the BRICS Plus is likely to become a developing countries version of the G7 or GN in the future. It is also a time that the developed country versus the emerging economies in the field of trade, capital, military, and security. Being together is a way for emerging economies to gain international support, expand international cooperation, and increase their voice. In the current international situation, people of insight can see that developed countries are trying to make up for the failure of domestic policies through weaponized capital and trigger hotspot in the world, exporting negative assets of their own domestic inflation, wildly harvesting the world for their own benefit. Under the changing world order, some leaders choose to fight back. Some seek other cooperation. All responsible leaders refuse to sit still and wait for the perfect storm.
Very important to strengthen BRICS cooperation, particularly in the outcome of the pandemic and now the economic outcome too, and not only health. And it's very important to strengthen cooperation among the BRICS to find a way out of the conflict that we are living, the military conflict involving one of the BRICS members.
The theme of this BRICS summit is to create a new era of global development and respond to the crisis facing the world.
BRICS has also reached to be a geopolitical group, a geopolitical coalition that makes another weight against the Western countries. This is very important. For the coming future, BRICS need to cooperate more, particularly in terms of environment and to tackle climate change. BRICS need to cooperate a lot more in science and technology, in research and development, to address the needs of our populations in terms of medicines and other issues, telecommunications, transportation, and other areas that are so important, and BRICS could cooperate more, particularly in new technologies.
Hong Kong media reported that this year, the BRICS countries have been discussing the expansion of BRICS Plus, including other developing countries such as Argentina and Saudi Arabia, which may become the GN in the future. BRICS itself is only a genetic term for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, not a formal organization. Later, the BRICS countries began to discuss cooperation with each other and held the first BRICS summit in 2009. In terms of strength, the BRICS countries account for 27% of the world's total land area, 42% of the world's total population, and nearly one-fourth of the world's GDP. In 2021, the total economic volume, the total trade volume, and foreign investment attraction accounted for 23%, 18%, and 25% of the world respectively, and it is still the leader of emerging economies and developing countries. As early as 2010, driven by the BRICS countries, the World Bank raised the overall voting rights of developing countries to 47%, and the IMF confirmed the transfer of more than 6% of the voting rights to emerging economy. China will increase resource investment in global development cooperation, integrate and upgrade the South-South Cooperation Assistance Fund to the Global Development and South-South Cooperation Fund, and increase the capital by $1 billion on the basis of $3 billion, which is equivalent to one-third of the total amount. At the 2017 BRICS Summit, China threw out the BRICS Plus cooperation concept and established South-South cooperation between the Southern Hemisphere, which is the basis for this decision. The Argentina Times recently published an article saying that, unlike international organizations dominated by the West, The BRICS countries have gotten rid of outdated zero-sum mindset and open up a new model of solidarity and cooperation on common issues of mankind, which is very encouraging. Argentina looks forward to joining the BRICS. Under current international circumstance, Russia was sanctioned by the developed country for attacking Ukraine. China, India, and South Africa, among the BRICS members, refused to condemn Russia. China and Russia even declared that their cooperation has no upper limit. President Vladimir Putin of Russia pointed out at the BRICS summit that the reason why the global economy has trapped in this crisis is due to the ill-considered selfish actions of some countries. These countries actually use financial mechanisms to solve their policy mistakes and passed the damage on to the world. Putin demanded that the leaders of the BRICS countries should unite and cooperate to promote global stability. The BRICS summit issued a declaration to support dialogue between Moscow and Kiev. While emerging economies are interacting, developed countries are also busy connecting too. The White House announced recently that the United States and Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom established an informal group, Partners in the Blue Pacific, to promote economic and diplomatic relations with the Pacific Islands Forum. South Korea, Canada, and Germany are also interested in joining in. According to external analysis, this new form of cooperation is intended to counter China's expansion of influence in the Pacific region. Australia and New Zealand are quite alarmed because China intends to sign a security agreement with the Pacific island country Fiji some time ago. After all, the Pacific Ocean is their backyard. China's diplomatic approach has alerted Western countries. In the past, the United States has neglected Pacific Island countries. After this battle, the United States, Australia, and New Zealand had to wake up. Although China's diplomatic breakthrough in the Pacific seems to have been fruitless, whether the Blue Pacific can be effective depends on the establishment of common interests.
The last few sentences made by President Xi, the emphasis of mutual benefit, cooperation, and win-win situation among the BRIC countries. This is very important because now the world is suffering because a big country is trying to maintain its superpower, and because of that we have the war, we have the inflation, and we have shortage of food, and then the supply chain shock.
At present, Fiji does not want to choose a side. In Southeast Asia, China mainly uses the Belt and Road Initiative and a Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership to unite forces that can be combined. The United States, through the Indo-Pacific economic structure, wants to fight China to the death. Asian countries certainly hope to benefit on both sides, at least not wanting to be a stepping stone. Therefore, the new Cold War structure has generally formed. The old developed country with the United States as the core, and emerging economies with China as the main force. One side deterrence the other side. And the hard power and soft power of the world economy, capital, politics, and military are changing now. That is a brief introduction of this big game between developed countries and emerging economies. Please leave your comments below. Thank you for being with us. See you next time.